The council chamber aboard the orbiting city of Nova Primus was a place of austere elegance. Its high-arched ceilings glowed with a soft ambient light, reflecting off panels of polished metal and glass. The leaders of the human colonies had gathered, their expressions formal, some concealing curiosity, others thinly veiled disdain. At the center of the room sat a grand piano, one that gleamed under the light, its polished keys appearing almost untouchable. Kale, a young man from one of the outer agricultural colonies, lingered near the edge of the chamber. He was not meant to be here. He had arrived only because a courier had mistakenly handed him a pass intended for an envoy. He should have left immediately, but something about the massive piano drew him in. Its presence dominated the room, and the faint resonance of the strings seemed to call to him in a language older than words. Few of the delegates noticed Kale's curiosity and smirked. "Watch," one whispered. "He thinks he belongs here." The laughter that followed was low, restrained by the formality of the chamber, but sharp enough to reach Kale's ears. He flushed, but did not step away. His hand hovered over the keys, as if testing the air around them, not intending to play seriously. In truth, he only wanted to amuse himself. Kale sat, slid a hand over the keys, and struck a few notes with exaggerated clumsiness. They sounded harsh, discordant, a mockery of proper music. The delegates who had been whispering snorted with laughter, their eyes glittering with condescension. "Is that supposed to be music?" one asked. "Or just a random noise experiment?" Kale leaned back slightly, the joke complete. He could see the smirks, the raised eyebrows, the faint shaking of heads. He gave a theatrical shrug and prepared to stand when something strange happened. The keys he had struck didn't simply resonate with a hollow echo. They seemed to vibrate with life. A subtle energy pulsed through the piano, an almost imperceptible hum that thrummed in sync with his heartbeat. At first, Kale thought he imagined it. But when he touched another note, the vibration spread like ripples on a pond, and the room itself seemed to respond. The ambient lights shifted slightly, as if acknowledging the unexpected rhythm. Delegates paused mid-snicker, uncertain. A hum of collective attention rose, soft but palpable, as if the chamber itself had been waiting for this moment. Kale laughed quietly to himself. "I suppose the piano didn't get the joke," he muttered under his breath, and then he let his fingers move freely. What started as random, careless notes transformed into patterns, arcs of sound that seemed to resonate with the very air and metal of the room. A melody formed, delicate yet commanding, a strange combination of innocence and authority. The room fell silent. One by one, the delegates straightened in their seats, drawn into the unexpected performance. Even those who had scoffed moments earlier could not look away. The piano seemed to respond to Kale's intuition, almost as if it were alive. Its strings pulsed with clarity beyond human design, carrying harmonics that touched the mind as well as the ear. The vibrations stirred memories in those listening, echoes of long-forgotten earth songs, folk tunes of old colonies, lullabies whispered by ancestors they had never met. Kale's hands moved faster now, the earlier joke forgotten. He no longer thought of ridicule or the absurdity of his presence here. His consciousness focused entirely on the connection between himself and the instrument. He realized, in a way that was instinctive rather than learned, that the piano was not just a machine. It was a conduit, a vessel capable of translating thought and feeling into resonance. The music was no longer his alone. It belonged to the room, to the air, to the gathered humans who could sense something beyond their understanding. A subtle glow emanated from the piano's body, faint lines of luminescence tracing patterns along the keys and strings. The delegates leaned forward, their skepticism fading into wonder. Some muttered prayers or quiet astonishments. The sound was unlike any conventional composition. It was both chaotic and harmonious, unpredictable yet strangely perfect. It spoke of growth and struggle, of joy and loss, of the resilience of humanity in the face of the void. Cale had not intended to perform. He had not even considered himself skilled. Yet the piano seemed to recognize a spark in him, responding with a precision that no conventional instruction could replicate. Every note he struck carried depth. Every chord resonated with a subtle intelligence, as if the instrument itself were teaching him as much as he was shaping its voice. The chamber grew tense with emotion. Some delegates felt tears prick their eyes. Others held their hands over their mouths in disbelief. One older diplomat whispered, "I have witnessed centuries of human achievement, and yet I have never heard anything like this." Another muttered, "It is as if he speaks the language of the stars." Cale's eyes widened, but he did not stop. The music had taken control, flowing through him rather than from him. His fingers danced over the keys with newfound skill, improvising in patterns that he could neither name nor predict. The piano responded instantly, harmonizing with subtleties that seemed impossible for any single human to comprehend. Notes shimmered and faded like beams of light. Chords twisted into shapes that resonated deep in the mind, and then came the moment that shifted everything. A low, almost imperceptible rumble began beneath the chamber. The floor vibrated softly, the walls resonated, and the hum of the piano intertwined with a frequency that none of the humans had consciously produced. The building, or perhaps the ship itself, reacted to the music. Energy fields shimmered. Tiny motes of light danced along the surfaces, and the air thrummed with a vitality that was both alien and familiar. One delegate, braver than the others, rose to a trembling stance and asked, "Is this technology or magic?" Cale did not answer. He had no words. He only played. The piano continued, every note layering upon the next, building a crescendo that was both breathtaking and terrifying in its beauty. It lasted for minutes, or perhaps hours. Time seemed to dilate around the music. When the final chord struck, silence fell. Absolute, profound silence. The delegates were frozen in awe. Some wept quietly, others stared, slack-jawed, unable to reconcile what they had just witnessed with the rigid understanding of their daily lives. The piano, which had seemed almost alive, now rested calmly, as if nothing extraordinary had happened. Cale leaned back, exhausted, his hands hovering over the keys, reluctant to break the fragile spell. He looked at the faces of the delegates, who now viewed him not with mockery, but with reverent astonishment. The youngest among them whispered, He touched something we cannot define." An older council leader approached, her expression a mixture of curiosity and humility. "You were joking," she said softly, "and yet the resonance you awakened has changed us all. We have studied instruments of this kind for decades. No one has ever accomplished what you have." Cale shook his head, unsure how to respond. I did not intend to," he admitted. "I was only playing." "That is precisely what makes it remarkable," she replied. "You played without expectation, without fear, and the piano, it recognized the truth in you." For the first time, Cale felt a sense of purpose. He understood, in a deep and undeniable way, that human potential was not measured by titles, training, or authority. It was measured by the willingness to reach into the unknown, to act without pretense, to embrace instinct and creativity even when it seemed foolish. The piano had merely reflected what humanity could accomplish when unbound by fear or doubt in the days that followed. The story of Cale's impromptu performance spread across the colonies. Scientists studied the piano, attempting to replicate its responsiveness. Philosophers debated the nature of the resonance he had triggered. And yet, everyone agreed on one truth. Something in the human spirit had spoken through him. A reminder that even in a vast and indifferent universe, there existed a force capable of inspiring awe, Cale returned to his small colony, carrying nothing but the memory of the piano and the knowledge that he had touched something extraordinary. He continued his simple life, tending fields, repairing equipment, and helping neighbors, but he did so with a quiet confidence. He knew that greatness was not defined by accolades or recognition, but by the courage to act authentically, to trust one's instincts, and to touch the world without fear of mockery. And somewhere in the orbiting city of Nova Primus, the grand piano waited. Its strings rested in quiet anticipation, ready for the next soul brave enough to awaken the resonance of humanity, and to remind all who listened that even a joke, in the hands of the right person, could reveal the infinite potential hidden within.